The US dollar has been declining after a large run-up as the world recalibrates to the tectonic shifts which have occurred in January 2017. With the petrodollar holding its reserve currency status, no other currency can be as powerful, but a weaker currency can also be beneficial, particularly in times of exporting goods. Some countries make this an unofficial, official policy in order to keep their economy rising. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Let's get into this today. I have a bunch of things to cover. I generally want to focus on the US dollar though. US dollar's January performance as a percent. Remember, that's as a percentage. So we're talking about January performance in particular, and you can see what happens right here all the way back to the Reagan era decline in a short period of time. Now, percentage-wise, it's only a few percent over this little while. Actually, I'll show you in the article coming up, but it's just showing you in terms of percentage, we're seeing a big decline. And I think there's a lot to that. I don't think it's necessarily, okay, here it is, this is the dollar crashing, there's going to be a collapse tomorrow. No, that's not what this is. So there's more to that. Let's get into some of that right now. The greenback fell to a fresh low for the session, extending losses against all of its G10 peers as the Bloomberg dollar index dropped to its lowest since mid-November, with the drop accelerating as Trump claimed other countries will devalue their currencies, or that they do actually. Mid-November, obviously, we're looking at that time frame of everything that's happened with Trump and ever since. So this right here, fresh low 2.43% on the Treasury 10-year. This is the thing that you need to watch. I actually should really do a video about this, about how important it is to follow, not necessarily as an investment, but to understand the debt, whether that's, we're looking at the treasuries and in a comparison to the stock market, and understanding both and how they correlate together. I really need to do a video about that. The decline may have been exacerbated by month-end flows from portfolio rebalancing. They always try to make an excuse for this and that. I think there's a lot of manipulation that goes on, and a lot of it is just fluctuations. When you look at it over, let's say, even yearly charts or 5-year, 10-year, and everything else, they just look like little blips along the way. So there's more in here, but let's move on. I want to show you this. It was a very interesting chart. In fact, I will include it in the description. I'm sure a lot of this font may not be readable to you, so I'm going to cover it quickly and then move on. It's basically the history of the world reserve currencies over time. And just in case anyone out there is unsure of this, just open the pages of history and you will see that no way, the US dollar wasn't always supreme. Every so often, they say about 30 to 40 years, but depends how far back you want to go, the world goes on a new currency system, a new monetary system. And you're looking at, Portugal, you're looking at Spain, you're looking at basically all of these other countries that goes up. And then, to me, I believe that's, United Nations, suggesting something for the future. But anyway, all I want to note was that as the years go on, there are different empires. Those empires have their currency. That currency is able to be strong. The country is able to be strong. But eventually, it dies off. And the US, in fact, according to this, is basically at the top end for what is considered to be a long empire. So, at some point, this needs to change. That's just the way it is. The dollar cannot reign supreme forever. And I do believe at some point we will have a new monetary system. But what exactly will that be? Will there be a one world currency? Well, According to the World Bank's former chief economist, he wants there to be a replacement of the US dollar and instead have a single global super currency, saying that it's going to create a more stable global financial system. This isn't new information, but I just believe that it tied in, so I would like to add it here. The dominance of the greenback is the root cause, I disagree, of the global financial and economic crisis. The solution to this is to replace the national currency with a global currency. I don't necessarily think that having the US dollar as the reserve currency is the best thing to do. But I believe wholeheartedly that having the US dollar as the reserve is better than having something like the IMF's SDR. That's even worse. We need to, go backwards in this case, not forwards. We need to go to something more stable, not something with even less intrinsic value, with even more manipulation can take place, and with less oversight. Very important. They also talk about China in here, the European Union in here, but as I said, it's sort of outdated information, but it's still relevant. I thought this was interesting, so I wanted to bring it up. Japan's pension megafund to invest in U.S. infrastructure. That's good news for the U.S., and I believe it's better for Japan even than investing in garbage like buying up their own stock market, buying up their own debt. I mean, this is just completely a waste. At least investing in something for real, even if it was a bridge to nowhere. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'd rather have public works projects than printing money and buying up debt and have it, recycle itself around. I mean, that is just complete garbage. So this is at least some positive news. Everyone's looking for positivity. I guess that's positive. This here I thought was very interesting. There's two articles I'm just going to briefly cover before we end the video. Two things: that Trump had a phone call with the head of state, Australia's head of state. He's calling all the different head of states. What was supposed to be a peaceful and normal phone call ended up finishing, I believe, instead of an hour long, it ends up finishing in 25 minutes. It was supposed to be peaceful, and it was not peaceful at all. There was a little bit of banter coming from Trump, apparently, and this isn't good. I mean, there's supposed to be some positivity happening from these type of phone calls. I don't know what this is all about. I mean, you can't just judge it for the way it is when we see things on the news and immediately, particularly out of Washington Post, since they're quite negative against Trump. It is very biased. We'll see. We'll see when the actions take place, whose side, everybody is on, and what happens, the ripple effect of all of that. So I just wanted to bring it up to you. And then secondarily, you've probably heard of this already, but I believe it was important to cover. Donald Trump threatened in a phone call with his Mexican counterpart to send U.S. troops to stop the bad hombres down there unless the Mexican military does more to control them. But that's according to an excerpt of a transcript of the conversation obtained by the Associated Press. Okay, we don't know if that's accurate. I'm not going to, say that this is true, but basically what happened was the Mexican president is talking to Donald Trump, and they said, Donald Trump said, look, you got some problems going on down there, and we are going to send our troops in if you don't handle it. I think that's basically considering that there's going to be a war, there's going to be an invasion. I don't think that's really something that he would say, to be very clear. I mean, I know he's a blunt individual, but not something like that. I mean, it could be. If it is, I think there's going to be a big mess happening, but I don't think that was really the case. And I want to follow this. I want to see that, if any other news comes out about this. If you have any information about it, of course, post down below. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. If you find this better, then you can give it a thumbs down. I just thought that would be a little funny to end the video off. If you found the video informative, then I know you'll find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. Look, you can actually look through this book. If you go over to Amazon, they have a look inside feature that will allow you to flip through the pages of the book and see if you like it. Take care.